All right, welcome to today's Explainer. We're diving straight into one of the most fascinating and honestly kind of secretive stories in modern sports right now. Because behind all those massive data sets and incredibly complex algorithms, AI systems are quietly attempting to solve football's greatest mystery. Today, we're going to unpack exactly how this technology is fundamentally changing how clubs prepare, how bookmakers calculate their odds, and honestly, how we as fans truly understand the beautiful game.
So, think about this for a second. Is football's biggest secret truly impossible to predict? For generations, this sport has been celebrated exactly because it just flat-out refuses to follow logic. Forecasting a match has always felt a bit like trying to predict the weather a month in advance, right? You've got form, last-minute injuries, a sudden downpour, wild shifts in momentum, and just pure, unadulterated luck that can turn a heavy favorite into a loser in a matter of 90 minutes. Every single fan remembers those impossible upsets, where just one mistake completely rewrote history.
To really wrap our heads around this revolution, we've got to look at the old way versus the new way. The old way relied heavily on human grit and experience. You had scouts driving thousands of miles through the freezing rain to watch matches from the stands. You had coaches locking themselves in dark film rooms for hours studying opponents, while journalists passionately debated a team's form. And hey, it was incredibly valuable, but it was also fundamentally subjective. The new way? Technology arrived and completely flipped the script. Instead of relying on a human eye watching just one single match, AI analyzes millions of events from thousands of games in mere seconds.
And right there, that's the core shift. Literally overnight, football wasn't just a game anymore. It became data. AI started looking at every single completed pass, every sprint, every shot location, every tactical tweak, and every defensive action to find these hidden patterns. What used to be chalkboards and gut feelings just transformed. Suddenly, every movement on the pitch became part of an enormous, highly searchable database, just waiting to be unlocked.
Now, one of the biggest game changers in this space is a metric called expected goals, or XG. Instead of just tallying up the goals at the end of a match, analysts started measuring the actual quality of every single chance created. Thanks to AI, we now know mathematically that a shot from 6 yards out, dead center in front of the goal, carries a much higher probability of scoring than some desperate, long-range effort from 30 meters away. It sounds so incredibly simple, but quantifying exactly how dangerous a shot is, that changed absolutely everything.
But these models didn't just stop at measuring distance. AI takes every single chance and turns it into a wildly complex mathematical equation. It's measuring the exact shooting angle, the intense physical pressure from a defender breathing down a striker's neck, exactly where the goalkeeper's feet are planted, whether the shot was taken with a dominant foot or a weaker head, and even the speed of the counterattack leading up to the strike. By studying millions of previous shots using these hyper-specific data points, the AI actually learns the exact mathematical probabilities of success. So if you ever scratched your head wondering how some tiny club manages to take down a massive European giant, well, here is their secret weapon. This completely revolutionized recruitment. Clubs started to realize that the final results on the scoreboard sometimes lied. A team might win 3 games despite creating barely any quality chances, or a striker might have incredible underlying numbers even if they're going through a temporary dry spell. This allowed smaller clubs with much tighter budgets to find massively undervalued players. Because they couldn't compete financially with Europe's wealthiest super clubs, they just started competing intellectually. Every transfer essentially became a data problem waiting to be solved.
Thousands. That's the staggering scale we're talking about with these modern prediction machines. Companies and bookmakers around the world realized they could build models not just to scout players, but to actually forecast entire matches. Today, these advanced AI systems simulate matches thousands of times before the referee even blows the whistle for kickoff.
So what on earth is the AI actually looking at during those thousands of simulations? Well, pretty much everything. It evaluates expected possession, passing accuracy, defensive stability, and pressing intensity. But it goes way deeper than that. It factors in accumulated fatigue, the exact travel distance of the away team, the specific impact of a star midfielder being out-injured, and complex historical tactical matchups. Bookmakers pour heavy investments into these models because even a tiny fraction of a percentage improvement in accuracy can save them millions of dollars over a 9-month season.
And it doesn't stop at kickoff. Broadcasters are now using these exact same models to pump out live probabilities that are constantly shifting in real time. Think about it. If a team scores a fluky early goal, or a key center back gets a red card, or a manager makes a sudden tactical sub, the AI instantly reshapes the simulations and projects a brand new, highly calculated scoreline within moments.
But AI goes far beyond just predicting the final score or betting odds. It fundamentally changes how coaches actually prep for the game.
It all starts with stadium cameras. They capture thousands of positional data points every single second. AI takes what just looks like simple running to us fans and turns it into an incredibly detailed tactical map. Managers can clearly see if a fullback is consistently struggling against diagonal runs, or if a high-pressing system starts to collapse right at the 70-minute mark. They can even monitor a player's micro-movements to spot physical decline before a major hamstring injury actually happens.
Win, draw, loss. But here is the really wild part. Despite all of this incredible space-age technology, all the player tracking, and the thousands of relentless simulations, absolutely no AI consistently predicts football perfectly.
And the reason why? It all comes down to the sheer scarcity of scoring. Football contains a level of randomness unlike almost any other major sport out there. Just look at the numbers for a second. In basketball, an average NBA game produces around 230 combined points. If a player slips and falls, who cares? You'll get another possession in 10 seconds. In baseball, you have hundreds of pitches. That massive high volume severely waters down the influence of sheer luck over a single game. But football? An average Premier League match often produces maybe 2 or 3 goals total. Because it is so low scoring, a single unexpected moment of randomness, a weird deflection, a heavy gust of wind can change absolutely everything.
Which brings us to this really fascinating, almost philosophical question. As AI grew more and more influential, critics started pointing out that data could never truly measure leadership or dressing room chemistry or the crushing emotional pressure of playing in front of 80,000 screaming fans. Seriously, can an algorithm actually understand what it feels like to play in a fierce local derby where pride is on the line? Can it predict a captain inspiring his teammates with a single crunching tackle after conceding an early goal?
As researchers have very wisely pointed out, even the most advanced AI systems rely on historical information. But human emotions? Yeah, they don't exactly follow historical trends. Fear, inspiration, passion, sheer adrenaline, these deeply human elements exist completely outside of historical patterns and neat mathematical equations. They are wildcards in the truest sense of the word. But actually, AI's true superpower isn't in predicting those chaotic, one-off emotional moments. Where it absolutely crushes it is in identifying long-term trends over an entire season. Why? Because it entirely removes human emotional bias. Fans and pundits naturally overreact, right? A team wins 4 matches, and suddenly everyone says they're undisputed title contenders. AI doesn't get excited, it doesn't panic, it definitely doesn't read the morning tabloids, it just quietly processes the evidence.
So how are the elite clubs handling this? They're using a hybrid approach. The smartest teams rarely replace their traditional scouts or veteran coaches with pure AI. Instead, human experience provides the crucial context, while the data provides the unbiased evidence. AI just becomes another member of the team, a silent analyst working tirelessly behind the scenes, never sleeping, never complaining, constantly searching through all that noise for just one hidden advantage.
Because, let's be honest, those unpredictable moments are where the true romance of the sport lives. A goalkeeper suddenly slipping on wet grass, a defender slightly misjudging the flight of a header, a highly controversial penalty, or massive once-in-a-lifetime miracles like Leicester City defying 5,000 to 1 odds to win the Premier League. Most prediction models gave those outcomes practically zero probability. Not literally zero, just astronomically unlikely. But in football, the astronomically unlikely happens surprisingly often.
And honestly, we should be incredibly thankful for that unpredictability. Because if every match became perfectly predictable, the magic would just disappear. If AI could predict every single outcome with 100% accuracy, every historic upset would lose its meaning. Every last-minute winner would just feel expected. Those impossible, desperate comebacks that define entire generations of fans would just become another sterile statistical outcome.
There's just one ingredient AI absolutely cannot control, and that is pure, unadulterated chaos. That unpredictable spark is exactly what keeps billions of fans coming back every single week. It's why underdogs still dare to dream. It's why massive giants still fall to teams a fraction of their size. Every single kickoff carries hope, no matter what the numbers, the expected goals, or the sophisticated algorithms have to say about it.
The AI predicting football matches right now is incredibly powerful, and it's only going to grow more sophisticated as cameras and tracking improve. But perhaps the greatest lesson we can take away from this explainer is that even with the world's absolute smartest technology trying to box it into a formula, this beautiful game will always find new, dramatic ways to surprise us. So we leave you with this. Will 90 unforgettable minutes always find a way to rewrite every prediction ever made? Thanks for joining me on this explainer today. Keep watching, keep questioning, and never lose that sense of wonder.